Welcome back to UFC Ninja. Here's a peek at last week's betting results to get you ready for the Ninja's breakdown on the next card.
Yeah, what's up, guys? It's the Ninja. So, real quick, our bets last week, we had we basically put one unit on everything. So we had a bet on Stylebender. We had a bet on, we lost that. We had a bet on Arce versus Jackson to go to a draw. We lost that. That's just a one we do for fun. And then our parlay was Hooker and Stylebender, so Stylebender lost that for us. But our props this week, we had Moicano by sub and Rydell by TKO. And we hit Moicano sub. And then we had Arce versus Jackson going the distance, so we cashed that. We also had Hooker by TKO and the Princess of Peru by sub in round one only. And Hooker ended up getting the TKO there. And I didn't get to see it, but it cashed. And from what I heard, Princess was flopping and butt scooting. So, like a bitch. We kind of called that, he's kind of a quitter. We had a 6 cents last week, and it turned out to be right. So, with one unit on all that stuff, excluding the draw, I think we're up 2 or 3 units. My producer will put it in there. So, it was a good week for us, dude, and I hope it was a good week for you guys, too. Okay, guys. Next up, they got Natália Silva versus Tereza Bledá. And, oh my God, laughed my ass off here. I had the funniest nickname for Tereza Bledá. Let's say Tereza blank Bledá. Man, some funny shit. Probably shouldn't say it. I don't really want to disrespect her in that way. But damn, that would be some funny shit if you could just let that go. I'll let that go privately, and that's some funny shit, but we'll go with the Bledá in this one. Even though Silva's hotter, I look at the Tapology pictures, that little Natália girl, she's a little bit of southern spice, so there you go. All right, guys, we got Fernie, the boxer, Garcia, versus Brady, Bam Bam, Hiestand. Haystack, he's at minus 168. Garcia's at a plus 134. Interesting. Probably pretty appropriate odds here. So we look at Fernie. He's got a boxing background with his family background as well. Dude's a purple belt in BJJ. Got a couple of rear naked chokes on his record. But when he's in the octagon, he's mostly boxing only. Doesn't look for any kicks or any other takedown attempts. And when the way he punches and the way Fernie looks, it looks like he's hit like a heavy bag, 8 million times growing up as a kid. He had a heavy bag all over the house in each room, and he just wailed on that thing. The only problem is when he gets in the octagon, it's like he's fucking sick of hitting the heavy bag and doesn't want to hit it. So he needs to really boost his volume, in my opinion, to make his approach good in the UFC, just to, strictly box the hell out of his opponent when he gets in there. But with Brady, we look at him, he's been out for a while, had some knee surgery. Dude's a really good wrestler, really good on the ground, and he's going to, I think, avoid all of Fernie's boxing, especially most of Fernie's power. If Fernie touches him up with a little combo, it might take Brady down, but it's not going to black Brady out, in my opinion. So I think Brady's just going to be able to push through, get up, wrestle out, and throw some punches of his own here and there, and Fernie's just not going to throw the volume that he should be to put the work in. So it's going to be Brady by decision, in my opinion, and that's really all I got to say about this one, guys. So if you got any other bets on this, good luck to you. Next up, they got the Spider Girl versus Little Monster. And due to the fact that the Little Monster used to be a stripper in her last job, she's going to come in here without very much clothes on already and pretty much be comfortable just like her last job. So I think we're going to go with the Little Monster in this one. Alright, so this one we got a decent fight, I think. We got Ricky Pretty Turcios versus Kevin Quicksand Natividad. The Quicksand is at a plus 135. Ricky is at a minus 165. Well, for Quicksand Kevin, dude's short. He's 5'6". He's Hawaiian from Hawaii. He's pretty hittable, and he stands like a stone statue, until he gets hit, and then he starts moving. He like walks into grappling. He is okay, like has a jump knee and stuff like that, but it seems like he's been fighting fools, man, and he's just been able to pressure him and win with his volume, and then he'll place nice punches on their face. It seems like he doesn't like to throw unless he sees like a direct opening. That's just my opinion. I'm not sure what's going on there, but I feel like on the other hand, Ricky, he's bigger, taller, and he's going to be more imposing than Kevin, and that's not what Kevin wants to win the fight. Kevin looks like he's been winning by being the imposing guy. So Ricky's not going to let himself get pushed around. He's going to look a lot bigger, in my opinion, and he likes to pressure himself. The weird things about Ricky is he's makes war cries. He gets war cries going. He like has a meter. He pumps them up, and then he can unleash with that built-up energy. Kind of reminds me of a old guy that used to fight, and it was either King of the Cage or UFC. I'm trying to remember. I pulled out some old King of the Cage DVDs I got. One of them is like a Dan Severn one. I'm gonna have to. I thought that's who he fought, was like a Dan Severn or something. And I'm gonna have to check these out, and I'll watch through, or I'll try to have my producer find it for me on the web somewhere. Have him pull some wizardry. But this Indian guy, he wore the face paint, and I think he even wore like a shoulder straps, like a onesie, like actual wrestlers did, and he wore wrestling shoes. But he was a big native guy, and fought in King of the Cage or UFC. But anyway, I think Ricky kind of takes after him, and Ricky should start painting his face, you know. They probably don't let you do that in the octagon anymore, but he should at least replicate that guy at the weigh-ins and face-offs. So I'll try to find that, have my producer put that up for you so you can see. And some of you might remember that old guy.
I've been in knife fights. I got scars all over my body. I got a bullet wound. And you know what? That doesn't matter. None of that matters.
It's all about the heart. You have the warrior's heart.
You know, when you're young, when you start getting angry at the world, you don't know why. You just start getting angry at the world because the more you learn, the more you hurt, and you want to do something about it. And that's when the warrior spirit gets in you. And as a youngster, I was always, hey, Ruben's on the warpath again. And it just kind of stuck, bro. It just kind of stuck. Everywhere I went, I was just angry Indian.
So for this one, I really think Ricky's going to win pretty solidly here. So see about betting on him, but we'll take Ricky for sure in this one, guys. All right, they got Miles Chapo Johns versus Vince Vendetta Morales. So you got the shorty against the blood feud. Back and forth records, wins and losses. I'm not too invested in this fight personally, but what I do see is like Vince has not shown the ability to be diverse and change his game plan and make his MMA career successful. And Miles, on the other hand, I feel like he's got maybe a better team around him. And personally, he's got the ability to be more diverse and open-minded and push through to make himself higher ranked in the UFC and stay in the sport longer. So I feel like just Miles will come out on top in this one based on that alone. And I mean, really, I don't have anything else to say about this, and I'm not invested in this fight, guys. So if you are, good luck to you, and hope you win. Next up, they got Jennifer Maia versus the Iron Lady. Since Maia doesn't use her jiu-jitsu, I would go with the Iron Lady. Okay, guys, next up we got Cool, and we got Charles Energy Johnson. So Johnson's at a minus 165, and Zhalgas, the Cool Man, he's at a plus 135. So we look at the Energy. He just fought Makiev, who have kind of the same approach as Zhalgas. Going to try to get in there and wrestle and get his back. Energy did pretty good against that fight. Makiev in the third round was tired. Charles Energy seemed to manage his energy pretty well. We know he's got the track and field BS background, Tiger Muay Thai striking. Third round, he has energy still, and he's got decent takedown defense, and he's got decent get-ups as he showed against Makiev. And if Zhalgas doesn't have the same gas tank as Makiev, Johnson could potentially win the second and third round, even if he gets taken down a bunch and gets back up in the first and stuff, and maybe he could piece up the Cool Man the second and third round here. Besides that, the Energy's got that little spoiler in the back. He's got all of his hair shaved except for that back part, so that could make him at least 5 to 10% faster in the octagon here, and keep him down on the mats. So with that, he could keep up with the speed movement of Zhalgas in the first round and stay out of the punches. He kind of just gets out of the way of like big punches. So with the way that Zhalgas throws them hooks, Energy could just get right out of the way and end up pressuring him the second and the third round, even if he loses the first. So he's going to be a lot taller than Zhalgas here, and the Cool Man doesn't have any third round energy, so Energy is going to look good, and he can pressure because Zhalgas can be pressured. He's shown that, so we'll see what happens here. I wouldn't put it too big one way or the other, but I do see the Energy coming out on top in this one, boys. Okay, guys, sick. Welcome to the dojo. All right, this week you got like one of my favorite stories, really, in reality. It's not a super eventful story, but it's one of my favorite stories that have happened to me personally, and just super uneventful, like I said, but like important to me. So we were hanging out in the country of America. This takes place in, I believe, the state of Minnesota, at this bar. And at this bar, hanging out with some of my friends and a bunch of their girlfriends, and it was like a Friday night or Saturday night, and we're hanging out there, and they got this punching machine. Back then, it was when these punching machines just came out, pretty much, or they were putting them out in the bars at that point or something then, and this machine was set up like right behind me, pretty much, I guess, in the thing, and these guys at the table next to us, we're all sitting around drinking. These guys at the table next to us going and plugging money into this machine. There's like, I don't know, five dudes at this table with their chicks hitting this machine, right? And they're like a couple of bigger dudes. These dudes are all like 230, I'd say, for sure, and not super tall. They're pretty built, and they hit it. My buddies hit it. Like everybody hit it. At this time, I was 22, right in the middle of my ninjutsu. Like, basically, I probably was going the next morning. It was probably Saturday night. I was out drinking at my buddy's apartment where I was going to pass out on the floor. And then I was going to wake up and go to ninjutsu smelling like booze, probably, Shout out to my sensei, Jeff and Chris. I apologize. But, I was trying to make it to class, and at my buddy's, I was already like halfway there, so it worked out for me. And anyway, comes up to like my turn for the machine, and I line it up, taijutsu style, put myself into class, boom, line up my right hand, super chilled out, follow through, smash that thing, and I forgot what them damn scores now. I should have thought about this deeper. I just fucking took a big old puff and thought, yeah, I'll recall everything as I talk about it. But this score that I got was literally 1 point lower than one of their highest score at these 230-pound guy table. So those guys had hit whatever, and I hit 1 point underneath them guys, and they were like, holy fuck, I hit like 80 or some more than my buddy and shit like that, and my buddy's at my table, and one of my buddies was like 230 also, but I hit like 1 point above him, or a couple points above him, and 1 point below one of their guys, and everybody was like, holy fuck, man, like, how did you hit that hard? It was, one of their girlfriends like came over, gave me a high five, like they were like, legitimately impressed that I was able to hit that hard. For being like not a very big, thick dude, 6'3" or 6'4", but not super thick at all, weighed like 160, 165 maybe. And just the technique of the ninjutsu was what it was, and practice makes perfect, and I'd probably be doing it for at least a year and a half at that point. And it came through to give me the score, and it showed that, no matter how much weight those guys had on me, at least one punch, properly placed in the right position, everything like that, the technique can show that you can land as much power as somebody that's untrained and just throwing a punch. I'm assuming none of the other guys were trained because they all just wailed on it with big right hands, and I was the only one that stood straight in front of it and threw a straight shot. That's probably another reason why they were slightly fascinated with how I hit it so hard. But I don't know, I just did what I was normally supposed to do. I basically could have closed my fucking eyes, it wasn't anything different that I did, so I'm nothing special. It was just mainly the technique, it's thousands of years old. So shout out to my senseis again, Jeff and Chris, and I appreciate everything they taught me, and it just goes to show there is some value in martial arts. Alright guys, so next up we got Jack the Dog Della Maddalena versus Danny Hot Chocolate Roberts. Hot Chocolate's at a plus 385, and Jack is at a minus 525 right now. So with these odds in this fight here, I could tell you what I'm looking at. So we know Roberts is good early, and we know Jack is really slow early for the first round or first half of the round. So I think after the first round, Della Maddalena is just going to ragdoll Roberts around and be able to avoid any real power shots after that or anything else that Roberts has to offer. So for the first round, I think that Roberts has a chance to land a punch on Maddalena and maybe put him out. He's so unorthodox and free flowing that Hot Chocolate could land some chocolate on him. If not, like I said, I think Maddalena was gonna come through either way. But with the first round TKO prop, it's a plus 1100 right now, so I'm kind of looking at that, and we'll see at the end of the podcast if I put it on there or not, guys. But otherwise, I got no other bets or thoughts on this one. Maddalena, he's a little bit hittable early until he kind of wakes up. My notes were a little harsh on him, but he's a lot better after watching him again than I thought, and I think he'll do good in the UFC here for a little bit, and I think he'll for sure win this, like I said, after the first round or half of the round. So that's all I got in this one, boys. All right, guys, so next up we got Muslim, the king of Kung Fu, Salikhov, versus Andre Fialho. So we look at this. We look at the king of Kung Fu. He's 38 years old, from Dagestan. He throws those huge spinning kicks in the first round. Those are kind of nice, and one of those could land on Andre in this fight here. But Andre is pretty technical. He's got that high guard, but something could slip through it like that. He pressures early. The king of Kung Fu doesn't like to be pressured. He needs space to get them kicks off and stuff. And Andre's got the power jab. It's pretty nice, and he kind of fakes and feints and follows up with power. So being that he's like 10 years younger, he's 28 compared to the king of Kung Fu, who's 38. So Andre can take some punishment. He's still younger. We seen him take a decent amount of punishment against Matthews there in his last fight, but Matthews looked like the younger, crisper fighter in that. But Fialho did hit him with some shots, and I think it just showed that Matthews had a good chin, and Fialho's used to people drop him when he lands those shots. So if he just goes back to his old ways and goes hard in the first round and doesn't get hit by that spinning kick, he could just knock out Muslim since he's older and been beat up, in training and in fights for so long. And Fialho could get the TKO. I think this fight either way would end in under 1.5 rounds. So I actually have the odds on it personally here, and it's plus 135 right now. So that's probably going to be our bet come the end of the podcast, guys. But otherwise, that's all I have to say about this fight. All right, guys. Next up, we got the one guy that we cannot get rid of in the UFC. We got Chase, the Vanilla Gorilla Sherman, versus Waldo Cortez, Salsa Boy Acosta. The Vanilla Gorilla plus 170, Acosta minus 210. Well, it's a heavyweight fight here, striking fight, so Acosta is spamming that right hand still, like we talked about last time. Sherman, with his boxing, I watched that fight against Vandera, and what I seen with Sherman there was he was getting over aggressive. He's overexcited as usual, eager to get in there and get a knockout, I guess, but he puts himself in a bad position, and he could get caught by somebody that's specifically looking for a right hand. He ends up on the right side of somebody. So with Acosta, if he's good enough, he could end up landing a right hand on Sherman and putting him out, I guess, TKOing him if he's good enough to put together the sequence on somebody like Sherman. Sherman's tough, and both these guys seem to fight emotionally. Acosta just maybe has more patience because he's been, chewing and spitting on the dugouts of baseball in his last career. So Sherman, he might be more jacked up and less patient, and that could serve him, to get knocked out in this fight. But like I said, he fights emotional every time he gets hit. He's looking for more, and Acosta's the same way. He's screaming at his opponent after them leg kicks. So it's going to be an emotional battle, but it's going to be a striking battle, and I just see maybe Acosta getting the right hand. Otherwise, Sherman could just piece him up, maybe even TKO him, I guess. But that's all I got on this one, boys. Well, next up they got Ian, the Hulk, Cutelaba versus Kennedy, the African Savage, Nzechukwu. The Savage is at a minus 175, and the Hulk is at a plus 145. Those odds are probably decent. When I look at this fight, I just think like the Oberg versus the Savage fight. Kennedy was able to survive the storm of Carlos Oberg in that first round, and Cutelaba's kind of the same way. He lasts like a round. He goes Savage mode in the first round. He's not as clean of a striker as Oberg, and he's more wrestling approach also. So I think Kennedy's got a big body. He's going to be able to maybe avoid the wrestling and avoid the first round tornado of the Hulk. So I'd go with Kennedy if I were you on this one, but that's just my opinion, my only thoughts on this fight. Otherwise, it's kind of unpredictable in my opinion. Well, the main event this week, boys. We got Derrick, the Black Beast, Lewis, versus Sergey, the Polar Bear, Spivak. The Black Beast is at a plus 159. Spivak is at a minus 200. Looking at this fight, check our notes first, man. We go look at the Polar Bear. He's on a pretty good streak right now. His momentum's up. He has been tripping dudes, putting them down, ground and pounding them, submitting them. Even though they're bigger than him, he's 233, usually weighing in there. He's got nice judo trips on the fence and in the open. He has been getting these guys because when they get to the ground, they kind of freak out. Hardy kind of flails around, doesn't know what to do. When the Black Beast gets taken down, he kind of just chills out, When you seen the fight against the boa constrictor almost had him. He was choking him with that scarf hold, and he was trying to choke him out. And a few times you can see the Black Beast just kind of not doing anything, not putting any pressure on his elbow or not, and just letting him choke him. And the boa constrictor just couldn't choke him out. So we'll see what the Polar Bear can do to him on the ground here. I think the Black Beast is just going to stay calm and chill out and get up when he wants to, or let it go to the end of the round and start standing again and conserve his energy. When the Polar Bear gets hit, he doesn't like it. When it's standing, the Polar Bear just covers up with his high guard and stands there. He doesn't back out of the pocket or anything. So the Black Beast will throw them punches. They're going to get through his guard, and the Polar Bear is going to get hit. And he doesn't like getting hit. He kind of starts to quit when he gets hit. So he better not do that if he wants to win this. And when I see this fight, really in the beginning, it comes down to the energy. And Spivak, he's an emotional fighter along with Lewis. So it's going to be the face-offs to me are going to be important. What they're both going to look like and how them are going to end, how the energy is going to transfer between them there. And sometimes you can really tell right before the fight on their walkout who's got the mojo and who doesn't, and sometimes you can tell and just make a bet right there. But for me, that's going to be important in this fight and a big part of it. So otherwise, when you look at the betting, I see betting on Lewis round 1, round 2, round 3, maybe even round 4, 1 unit on each, because the odds are plus 450 for round 1, plus 850 for round 2, plus 1200 for round 3, and plus 2000 for round 4. So compared to the TKO prop, it was plus 165 or something for him by TKO, which is shit. So that would be my bets for Lewis to win on this one. We'll see what we end up doing at all on this one. But I wanted to take him by TKO, but that is just junk for plus 164. So we'll see about maybe taking Lewis if I feel like Sergey's not going to be able to get the W here. We'll let you know at the end. But if you got any other bets on this one, guys, good luck to you. All right, you guys know what time it is. You can break down the kicks, you can break down the punches, you can break down the stats. But at the end of the day, you got to break down the bets, and you got to make some bets. All right, so our favorite this week is going to be Jack Della, Maddalena. Of course. But our parlay is going to be Ricky T and Jack Della in that. We're going to take as a props this week Zhumagulov versus Inner G. That fight goes the distance. And we're also going to take that same fight goes to a draw for my producer's favorite bet of the week, kind of off the records. Zhumagulov versus Johnson there. So also going to take Fialho versus Salikhov under 1.5 rounds, like plus 135. Not that great, really, if you ask me, but probably take that anyways. And then Roberts, Hot Chocolate, we'll take him by round 1 TKO also at plus 1100. A little bit of a wild bet for me. Really don't think that's going to happen, but I feel like we're going to win everything else, of course, as usual. So we'll just take that one for fun, and I feel like that there's a 10% chance that could hit because he's so wild in the first round, you know, and that's all he's got going for him. But besides that, that's all I got for bets this week, guys. Let's get it, huh? All right, guys, special this week, we're going to have my producer's crazy bets of the week. These are bets I give to him no matter what. I'm going to share them with you guys this week. We'll see if it's a hit we'll keep doing or not. But he goes crazy. He likes to bet. He's get the itch to bet come fight night. So his parlay this week is going to be Brady, Ricky, and Jack Della Maddalena. And his other crazy bets are going to be Lewis, the Black Beast, to win in round 1, round 2, or round 3. He's going to bet on each one of them rounds individually. Plus 450, plus 850, and plus 1200 right now. So those are his crazy bets of the week because I know he's going to make them anyway, so I just give them to him. So there you go. Hope you liked them. If you don't worry about it. They ain't shit and ain't going to do nothing. Have a good day. All right, till next week, guys. Life before death. Strength before weakness. Journey before destination. Keep it real.